Hi, welcome to Tangeless Oracle. So I'm coming here today is because I want to go over something that I started a few months ago, and I did 3 videos. And the first video was "You are in control even when you think you aren't," the solar system and the moon. But before I get into that, I want to speak about something else first because I did another video and I talked about this as well. So the first thing I want to say is that everyone who's born on this earth has a birth will. Okay, you've heard me say something about it's in their will, it's in their chart. Okay, so if you are familiar with astrology, you know about the natal charts and all of that, what sign you are, and etc. etc. Okay, so when I speak about the will, your birth will, I'm not talking about if you are a Aries, Sagittarius, Leo, Capricorn, Pisces. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your frequency. And when we are born holding certain frequencies. So I did a reading about this lady who um, unalived herself and her kids. And she was holding the number 33. And I think I've done a couple of videos talking about the number 33. And the number 33 means that you're in the lion's den. So it means any and everything can happen to you. So just based off, I'm just going to stick with the number 33 because I've done videos on that before. So, like I said, that means that you are in the lion's den and that any and everything can happen to you. And you can get that by your age or by your will. Now, when we think about the numbers that we're talking about and the numbers in our will, we're talking about frequencies, not just a number. Each number holds a frequency. Each planet holds a frequency. Each zodiac sign holds a frequency. So although I'm not always talking about zodiac signs, it still plays a role in what I'm talking about. Just like they tell you, this sign represents this planet represents this. It's the same thing as with astrology. Each sign represents something. Each planet represents something. The moons represent something. Okay. They have their own frequency. So when you hold a frequency at birth, okay, I can look at your will and I can look at your frequencies, the numbers that you hold in your will, and I can tell you what is going to play out in your life. If you haven't had it already, or if you have, how you living your life, okay? That will tell me that. So before I say anything else, I want to explain what I mean by frequencies. Frequency, just like you turn on your radio, you turn it to a certain frequency and it picks up whatever is playing on that station. So if we listening to 103.1, whatever that 103.1 is putting out, that's that frequency. So if you on a 33, whatever that 33 is about, that's what frequency you are on. You can have positive and you can have negative in the frequency. So if you're vibrating on a negative 33 frequency, somebody else out here is also on a negative 33 frequency. And so you are attracting that other energy to you. So you pulling in either the positive of the 33 or the negative of the 33 frequency. It's up to you. Okay. So if you're pulling in a negative 33 frequency, that means that you will attract the negative in the 33 frequency from wherever. Okay, and we just said that 33 means that you're in alliance, then any and everything can happen to you. So if you're attracting the negative, then you will pick up the negative of the 33 frequency. So if you have somebody out here who is also putting out a negative of the 33 in some form, okay, you can attract that into your life. With somebody with the positive, you attract that into your life. So now let's look at the 33. 33 means there is a lot of chaos going on surrounding you. It's a lot of negative energy. It could be a positive energy as well. If you're in the 33, and like I said, anything could happen. It's the consequences of your own involvement that leads you to your demise at times, or leads you, doesn't necessarily have to be your death. It could be you in situations that are not comfortable for you. Okay. But if you are in the positive of the 33, you can rise above a lot of things because you learn to endure. You have that mental strength and fortitude and resilience. But if you, that's in the positive, but in the negative, like I said, the things that you do can lead to the consequences of your demise. And that 33 represents a lot of aggressive and powerful energy. So it's what you put out and how you put out. So you can either be in the positive, because everything has the opposite. You can either have the positive or you can have the negative. And if you're dealing with, like if we go back to the lady that I was talking about, she was dealing with a lot of things mentally that she couldn't take. And so because she couldn't pull through that, she chose the route that she chose, which is to the demise, and her children had to suffer. Because while they might not have been having that 33 in their chart, because I don't know their information, but she was. And since she's in control of them kids, she was putting that out to others. Okay, there's other ways you can get it besides 33, but we're just going to stick to the 33. Okay, so with that being said, now you're looking at the 33. When you look at 33, you also have to look at the threes. And the threes represent intervene, something coming to intervene or interfere. Okay. Now, that can be coming in a good way or a positive way, because like I said, everything has a positive as well as a negative. And when you're looking at the positive, you can come in and be an intervention. You come in and be an interference. We put that 3 and that 3 together and we have 6. Okay. Now, with that energy of that 6, we have a lot of fire energy. Once again, we have a lot of aggressive energy with that 6. But it's also, it can cause trauma to you as well. There's a lot of things that you may not have been familiar with, you may have never experienced before. It's uncomfortable things. So we're looking at more than just 33. We're looking at a 3, and we're looking at a 6, and we're looking at a 33. Some of this may not make sense if you're not into the frequencies and energies and numbers and things of that nature. Okay. So, but it doesn't matter if you are or not. I'm explaining it to you right now so you can understand what I'm saying. So, when you hear about the will, we're talking about frequencies, the frequency or the energy or the vibrations that you're putting out or pulling in. You can be a negative in somebody else's life, or you could be a positive in somebody else's life. You could be attracting a positive into your life, or you could be attracting a negative into your life. It depends on your numbers. I can tell you, like, okay, you're going to be attracting this type of energy. So the main thing I want you to understand is that numbers represent the energy, the vibration. Okay. And so what we need to do is, if you have a negative in your will, if you're putting out the negative, you need to elevate it. You need to change that frequency. So for instance, if you have the 33 and you seeing that it's bringing the negative towards you, you need to elevate your frequency. You need to change your frequency. How do you change your frequency? It's in how you live, your mental state, your physical state. So if your mentality is negative, if you're living in a negative way, the way you carry yourself, all of those things is your frequency. Who you are out here in this world, how you represent yourself, that's your frequency. So whatever you own, like you say, what you own? I'm on this, he on that. So whatever vibration you are vibrating on, whatever frequency you are putting out, pulling in, it's going to determine how you live, how your life go. We all have our life a frequency that we're born into. That's why certain people go through certain things in their life, because that's their frequency. They were born to go through that type of thing. You can come out of it by raising your frequency. So if I know I'm living in the negative of my frequency, I need to correct that negative energy and raise my vibration in that frequency, is what I'm saying. So if I'm living in the 33 frequency in the negative, I need to raise that vibration of that 33 into the positive. I don't want to live in the negative. So this takes me to the videos that I did previously. When I said here, and you are controlling, I'm going to play it here. Street smart. So once again, like I say, this goes back to your mindset and how you think, what you do. Evilness. And journal. Journal means that it's documented and it's written somewhere, okay? It's documented and written. So now it benefits them, because now it's hard for me to say these things if you don't understand what I'm saying. But it's written down, documented. Now, what I'm saying here, when I'm saying it's written and documented, I'm talking about your will. It's already in you. You were created with that frequency. So that's what I mean. It's already written down. It's already documented. It's because you're born with a certain frequency, with a certain vibration. It's up to you of how it plays out in your life. Is it going to be the positive, or is it going to be the negative? On record for you, on your soul, on your spirit, because this is what we're talking about. So if you leave here and come back, like I said, if you don't believe that, that's fine. If you leave here and you come back, now you have karma. It's on written down on your soul, the things that you do. Now you have to come back and repeat it. And either you're going to have it done to you, or you're going to repeat the same things. And it benefits them because they want to keep you trapped here, harvesting that negative energy for their benefit. Because once you ascend, they can no longer touch you. And that's why they don't want you to do it. Now, we're going to pause there. Now, what I'm talking about here is when I say they want you to live in the negative, it's the negative energy that's here on this planet or in the universe, however you want to put it. Okay? Because if you in any type of spirituality, you should understand energy and how people harvest your energy, how people use your energy. Just for instance, if you are around a negative person all the time, You can come in a good mood, you go around this person, and they just negative, 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 negative. And then so after a while of being around them, it's draining for you to maintain your positive energy, being in a constant negative environment. That person feels better after you're drained of your positive energy because they harvested your positive energy and switched their negative energy with your positive. So now you're left with the negative and they are left with the positive. So it's the same concept. People, beings are harvesting your energy. They already know who to go to. That's why you have this God and devil concept. They already know who to go to get certain type of energy because you're born under certain energy or frequencies. And so that's why you attract certain things into your life. So if you have, let's just say something simple. I have a sweet tooth. And so somebody wants to use my energy in a certain type of way. So they're going to tempt me with sweets. Okay? Because they know that's my energy negative aspect. Okay? But once I learn to control my desire for the sweets, then they can no longer use that to pull on my energy or to drain my energy or to keep me in a lower frequency. And I'm not talking about sweets. That's an example. I'm talking about the things that go on here. There's a lot of energy harvesting that is happening. And if you don't understand your will and who you are and what's your negative and what's your positive, you are going to always remain in a loop of negative energy. You can never transcend a sin if you keep falling into the trap of your negative energy, of your negative frequency, vibration. And so if you believe in reincarnation or if you don't, it doesn't matter. If you believe in it, when you recycle yourself back in here, you holding on to the karma of this life into your next life. And if you don't never ascend above certain negative things that you hold within you, then you will come back under the same or even worse conditions. And this is why generational curses, as they say, happen. Because you have, we're going to go with the mother or the father, okay, the parent. Because you can get it from your mother or you can get it from your father. And although we on earth, we come up with our own rules of what's okay and what's not okay, because it's what we like to do. It doesn't necessarily work like that spiritually. So you can get it from either one of your parents. So if your parent is doing something in their life that they shouldn't be doing, is a negative aspect that can fall on you, even if you haven't been born yet. It comes back to you. So if I'm doing something negative in my childhood or before I have kids, and then I have a child, and then my child gets the karma or the negative from that into their life that they now have to fight. When they have their child, the negative things that they have done, that child has to fight, and vice versa, the positive that child gets, and so forth and so on. So even though we think we live in our own life, we're not living our own lives, so to speak, because the things that we do in our life will affect our children, and that it becomes generational curses or generational blessings. But it depends on your frequency that you're vibrating on this earth. And as we know, our child is a product of us. So we're passing down generational curses or generational blessings based on the frequency that we are living on. And just because you say that you are living right does not mean that you are. Because just because we as human beings think, okay, well, I did that thing, but society says it's okay. It doesn't mean it's okay spiritually. I want you to understand that. It doesn't mean, and I'm not saying this like I've never done, because I've done plenty of things, but now I understand, and now I have to confess and and work my way out of that so that I won't have to leave my kids in a negative situation. The father and the mother can do that. The grandparents passing things down, because it can skip you and go to your grandchild. Because I'm getting some things from my grandmother or my grandfather, and I get some things from my father. But it plays a role in my life. Even if your child has never, you did it in secret, your child never knows, you never knew what your parent did, they never spoke of it, but it's in you. You never know. So let's go back to this. What I'm saying is that you are in control even when you don't think you are. Because until you understand your frequency, you will always fall victim. Oh, that's just how I am. Oh, that's okay. That's how you keep in the same loop. You rationalize it. You make it okay. You make it a part of yourself, and it sticks with you. You think it's okay, but it's actually a negative, and you suffer in your life because you don't understand. So let me see. I'm trying to go a little further on here. Okay. Okay. So you either go through a portal, go through a gate, portal, gate, whatever. Okay. It's written. Okay. It's documented about this doorway portal. Okay. So here, be careful, because see, they're covering up. Be careful of your enemies covering up this portal. They don't want you to leave. Now, what I mean by this, when you ascend, you raise your vibration. And when I say they don't want you to leave, they don't want you to leave that vibrational frequency. They don't want you to do that, because then they can't, because they like too hard. That's why we have a lot of things going on out here that it's like I call it scare tactics, to keep you in a low vibrational, a low state. Because if you're always in fear, you can never ascend, because it's just like you go into your chakras. If you understand chakras, you start with your root, and just like they have the hierarchy of needs. And it is, if you don't have your fundamental or your basic needs met, you can't ascend, or you can't think other than, I gotta find something to eat, I gotta be safe, I have to have a place to live. Like if you always stuck in, that type of mindset, you never will ascend, because your mind is focused on basic survival. You don't have your basic needs. Okay. So it's kind of like that. If they put certain things out there to keep people feeling like, you know what, I don't know. But if you always hyper vigilant about where you're going to be at, where you're going to live, your safety and your well-being, if you always concerned about that, you can never elevate your chakras. You can never elevate your mental state, because you're in a constant state of fear. That's why I don't even look at the news like I used to look at. I don't follow different things, because I know, I'm not saying don't be aware, but don't fall into the trap of the distractions that they put out there. Every time they want something to happen, they put a distraction. They put something out there to put fear in you, to keep you on that low vibrational frequency. Know that if you do certain things, that you won't be able to ascend. Your spirit, your soul, you will be stuck here, repeating the same things over and over again. Okay, sit that to the side. And let me see if anything else here. Your family line, okay, they're coming together to victimize, to do something to hurt you, okay, to hurt your family lineage. And by you not ascending, you're going to stay here, right? You will never be able to ascend to be able to assist your bloodline. Okay, so that's just going over what I just said. Now I'm gonna let, if you wanna watch this video, you can watch it. I'm not gonna play the whole video. It's like 30 minutes. Okay, because I got 2 other videos that I want to pull in here, and let me get ready to pull those up right now. feel. Now, these okay, so now I'm gonna bring up this video. Aren't good emotions. Now we already had somebody over here in fear because they know they got to be careful out there because they know this government here is looking at them about something that they did. Okay, so or this government has done something, or a government is looking at something that someone has done, beings have done. So they got to be careful. And now they're living in fear. So they're tempted to do certain things because of the emotions behind it. Now, this could be sadness, depression, whatever, but it's not good emotions. It's negative emotions. It's bad emotions. It's unhappiness or whatever. So they're tempted to do certain things because of how they feel. Now, here is the street smart. So this is somebody who knows how to move around and get around in the streets, right? They have a hustle mindset, but when you run in the street, you know how the streets operate. Somebody that don't be in the street, they don't know how the streets operate, so they get out there and get hustled, and they might get, taken advantage of. But these people, they already know how it works. Okay. Okay. So what I want to say here is what I'm speaking about here when I say they know how it works in the government. I'm not talking about the actual government of the countries. I'm talking about the how can I say, the entities. Okay, so it goes back to, like I said, if they know how to trigger you and they keep you here in a negative or a low vibrational state, that they can use you and your energy. They can use you, they can use your child, they can use your grandchild. Your whole family will be locked into this low vibrational frequency. That's why you have histories of families. Okay, you have from the grandparents to the great grandchildren, they're stuck in poverty or they stuck in a negative situation. Then you have those who can come back, even though this generation here was in poverty, the next generation is doing better and better and better. And the reason why is they have done the things that they needed to do to raise themselves out of that negative vibration or that negative frequency. Okay, so that's what goes back to, I say that you are in control even when you don't know or think that you are, because you are in control. But if you fall into what they have taught you to believe, that you have to do these certain things and be in these certain ways, you trap yourself in certain frequencies that you are born into, because they, some of the times we are put in certain frequencies. That's why sometimes they came out with these planned deliveries, because they want you to be brought in under a certain frequency. Okay. It's because they know that if you come in at this time and this date, this is going to be your frequency. So even if sometimes, that's why I didn't want my grandbaby to be born as an induced. I want him to come when he was supposed to come. So they try to pull you in certain frequencies to keep you in a certain vibration, keep your families in certain vibrations. Okay. So that's why I say they understand how the streets work. They understand how this vibrational energy and frequency work. And that's why they keep you in the entrapment of it. You think sometimes we think we succeed and then we actually aren't. Okay. They know what we're being born into. They understand it, even if you don't, even if you don't want to believe it. You don't have to believe it if you're living it. Okay. So let's go on. I think it started. So this is somebody who knows how to move around and get around in the streets, right? they have a hustle mindset. But when you run in the street, you know how the streets operate. Somebody that don't be in the street, they don't know how the streets operate. So they get out there and get hustled, and they might get, taken advantage of. But these people, they already know how it works. Okay, because you out there, you already know. Here we know we got to do this and this. So it's like you already know what's coming, what's the deal. That's why you out here trying to figure out where you need to go, how you need to move it, because you have the capability of moving like that. You understand the streets, the solar system. Solar system, I'm talking about the planetary energy. So they understand the planetary energy better than you do. Okay, they know what they need to do. They know how to manipulate certain energies of certain people. Okay, and some of these entities do not want you to figure it out. They are trapped in certain vibrationals, okay, in certain frequencies. And in order to harvest more energy, because they can't get the energy like a spiritual being can, they want to harvest your energy and keep you in a low vibrational state. Once you ascend out of a certain negative energy, they can no longer use you. So, of course, we're going to do everything in our power to keep you in a low vibrational state, to keep you in this American dream or this dreamland that they told you to strive for. It is not what we're here to do. That's why a lot of people burn out at these jobs, because it's not what you're here to do. Not saying that you can't work, you're not supposed to work, because we're here. But don't let that be your ultimate. And that's how we get trapped. Okay, now I'm going to pause it so I can pull up the next one. Okay, so now this next video that I'm going to bring about, it is talking about the moon. And this is the next video that I did. Left behind. So it's a lot of negative energy coming out with this moon. We got serial killers, we got kidnapping, we got weapons being used, we got sexual predators, okay? Sexual predator, leaving someone behind, fading relationship, okay? Taking somebody across lines or taking somebody from somewhere, okay? Let's clarify that. Okay, so let me try to find what I'm looking for here. Someone is abandoned or left some sign. You can go on like one of these. You need to pay attention to how different moon phases affect you. Okay, if you look up if you're interested in knowing your moon sign, you can go on like one of these astrology things, and they can tell you what your moon sign, sun, moon, and rising is. And then you can look at more into how the moon affects you, okay? Because different moon phases represents different things. Okay, so here I'm talking about the moon phases, and what I want you to understand is, like I said, the moon phases affect you because the moon puts out certain energy. You hear people talking about, I'm going to do a full moon ritual, or I'm going to do this under the full moon, the new moon, this moon, the waning moon. Okay, all of those moons put out certain energy. Moon represents the emotions. And what I'm talking about in this video is how the different moon phases affect you and how you need to understand how the moon phases affect you in particular. Because some of your vibrations, your energy, your frequency, your will falls under certain moons. Okay. And so when those moons come, it's going to affect you in a certain type of way based on your frequency. Okay. So it may affect me differently than it affects you because I'm under a different frequency than you. Okay. So it's important to understand your will and how the moon phases affect you. You can use the moon phases in your favor. Okay. You can use the sun in your favor. You can use the planetary energy in your favor. And a lot of times, that's why they're doing all this stuff with the weather, because they try to block out that sunlight, block out the sun. A lot of times, on certain full moons, you can't even see the moon because now all of a sudden it's cloudy, because they know certain times and certain times of the year, certain days, because these days represents frequencies too. That's if the moon falls on certain days, it's more powerful. And then you will see a cloudy day, cloudy night, because they don't want you to get that full energy off that moon. Okay. If it's in your benefit. Okay. If it's in your benefit, not saying that you can't, but they try to make it difficult. And they think it making it difficult. Well, you can't stop energy from flowing. Okay. You might want to see it and you can't see it, but they cannot stop the energy from flowing. They just don't want you to get that full effect of it, but you can still get it. Okay. So that's why in this video, I'm talking about the moon and how the moon affects you. And in this video, I was telling you is how they're using the energy of certain moons to give you the negative energy to keep you in the negative frequency of your will. Okay. They know certain people will be affected by certain type of moons. They are, like I just said, they already know what frequency, how it works, the energy. They already know that. And so they will have that moon phase to be used to harvest negative energy. If you pay attention to what's going on around you, if you look at the planetary alignment, if you look at the moon phases, okay, it'll tell you everything you need to know. Now, my good sis on High Priestess Key, she did a video the other week talking about the planetary alignment of this past weekend. This past weekend, I was drained, had no energy. And it's all because of the planetary alignment in the moon phases. It plays a role whether you want to believe it or not. If you pay attention to what's going on around you, pay attention to yourself. You don't have to worry about nobody else. Pay attention to you during different moon phases, during different times of the year. The different seasons represent things. Like everything is symbolic in spirituality. And it's symbolic because it represents certain things. Okay. And so once you understand that, you will recognize and understand the significance of a lot of things that's going on in your life. You can see the patterns in your life. And once you recognize your patterns in your life, then you can start spotting them in other people's lives. Okay. So this video was talking about the moon and how it affects us, right? Somebody taking you away, okay? The watchers, the people watching you, investigating you, take you somewhere. There's something distinct about these people's faces. Now, I don't know if you can, but sometimes you can look at people and they have, I call it blizzard faces, because that's what they look like. Okay. But it's something distinct about these people's faces that's watching. Okay. And they're trying to take you to somewhere outside of where you are. That could be anywhere. They could take you out of your home. They could take you out of the state. They could take you wherever. Okay. So the moon, as we see, is something that is affecting us emotionally. And it is a portal or a gateway that, or opening. So the portal just means an opening, a gate, a gateway. Okay. So it can open the door to different emotions here, but it's like negative emotions because, like we said, the moon represents hidden secrets, trauma. Okay. Kind of like negative emotions. Okay. And it's all in how you handle it. So you need to be aware of your moon sign. Also, how the moon of the different moon phases affect you. So once you're aware of it, and then you can kind of maneuver around it. So that's all I wanted to look into today, was about the moon, like how. Okay, so like I said, I just explained to you. So like I said, I had did those 3 videos, spaced them out, and I forgot to get back to it because I said I was going to do them separately for a reason, because I wanted to take the time out to go into each one. And I had to speak in a certain way because YouTube doesn't allow certain things. And then I wanted you to see it play out in the cards. And so I can bring it to you today and put it together for you to understand. So for those of you who understand, you understand. And for those who you don't understand, research. Okay. So once again, all of this is going back to your frequency, your will. Understanding you is vital for your ascension. Okay. Don't worry about trying to understand other people. Understand you first. Once you understand you first, then it can span out to understanding others. You can see and feel things coming if you understand energy and frequencies. Okay. And like I said, get in tune with yourself. Get in tune, if you believe it or not, get in tune with your ancestors. Get in tune with your spiritual side. Okay. I have a video course, or whatever you want to call it, on my website. It's about altars, making your altar, honoring your ancestors, getting into that type of stuff. But in that also, I go over the moon phases, and I have a PDF that goes with that as well, that goes a little bit deeper into the moon phases as well. So getting into all of those things, understanding yourself is going to be key for your ascension. Now understand, and you can see this in your life. Every time you try to improve and do better, you get pulled back. Why? Because that negative energy is always needed and always being harvested. And that's what we are here for sometimes. That's what they're using us for. So if you want to ascend for yourself, your family, okay, if you believe in reincarnation, if you want to come back to something better, you're going to have to ascend, okay? So that's basically all I wanted to talk about today. And I just wanted to put those 3 videos back up so you can hear what I'm saying. If you want to go back and watch them, you can. And then listen to what I'm saying in there, and listen to it in a code. Don't listen to it as exactly what I'm saying, but look deeper into what I'm saying to get what I'm saying. If you understand, you overstand. Okay. So thank you for watching, and have a great day.